Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I hope you guys are doing well, and we're into December, so Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, you know, I'm sure there's lots of holidays. St. Nicholas is this coming Saturday, so just been a very difficult time. Sorry if I'm not my normal bubbly self. Going through one of those life parts that we all go through. My mom's dying, so it seems we're going on about 2 weeks of it. She has end-stage COPD, and my mother is a very headstrong, strong, stubborn woman that's a master herbalist and is definitely somebody that doesn't accept conventional medicine in a way that you or I imagine most people would. So guiding my stepfather and my mother, it's been really difficult. You know, I've dealt with my mom's disease or diseases since I was a child. You know, now, in the active phases of dying, seeing her terminal restlessness and her trying to pull through for my stepfather, and seeing the signs of actively dying and trying to respect the sovereignty she has of her, and knowing that this is their decisions, just really difficult. I mean, I've tried to lay the path that can be this easiest for them. She's probably going to end up being a medical examiner's case, and just trying to get her to her primary physician, establish one again, and if she wants to live, she's not going to live without oxygen. So it's just on top of that. But considering I was a nurse for 25 years, and I've worked ICU, I've worked hospice, this is not something I am not intimately, professionally comfortable with. So it's a big emotion. I mean, it's losing your mom is, parents are totally different than normal deaths. I mean, spouses are very difficult. Children, parents, it's like you don't realize that it's attached to somewhat your identity. So, tearful now. It's just waiting for what will happen will happen. I'm not in control. So, just sad. It's, please, people, especially if you are a PALS or a CALS or anyone that has MND, make sure that your advance directives and that documentation for medical power of attorney are filled out, because, like with my mother, I was told by a urgent care when she needed to be in ER and into probably ICU, that could go for guardianship. If you have somebody that is ill and not making good choices, guardianship is actually very difficult. You have to prove that the person's incompetent. The process takes, in my state, Texas, about 6 months. You have to get an attorney. They will be appointed an attorney ad litem for the person, and it's a process to go into. So, I mean, my mom has my stepfather caring for her. You can always hope. You never kill hope. But the process is happening, and, it's got in God's hands. I can't do anymore. Though with going for about the past week and a half, it's been, I tell you. So my little girl woke up 2 days before my mom had her crisis. I got called in the middle of the night from my stepfather saying my mom's barely breathing. I told him to call 911. Problem is, he didn't call 911. So my daughter woke up with a sore throat, and she said it woke her up at night. And of course, we're living in COVID land, right? She had been exposed to a classmate that had tested positive for COVID. So you get in all this. She's under the age of 10. In my area, most of the places I saw did not test kids under the age of 10. So called up, looked up my county's public health, took her, got her swabbed. So until she was actually, the COVID test was back, we were on quarantine. I started feeling sick that night, so Saturday, last Saturday, well, the Saturday before last Saturday, I should say, I got swabbed. So when my mom got sick, we're on isolation for quarantine for COVID. I couldn't go see her, especially because she's a respiratory patient. So ends up, that's what I was saying. I'm hoping it's strep. Well, it ends up being strep. So I got my prayers answered, or my wish came true. So we're both on antibiotics. Just trying on that. So I know that with the little things I've been doing for my mom and my stepfather, trying to lead them into, or at least have them hear the reality of the situation through doctors and through, contacting just, my mom's sisters and my uncle, and, trying to get the family understanding what's going on. My sisters and I have been dealing with everything. I'm blessed that I've got family. But everybody's out of state, so kind of hard. Anyway, just the little bits of care. I don't have the strength to lift her, to do that, anything like that. Excuse me. Allergies. So that's got me. So just doing like little trips to go out to see my mom, and to, reinforce how to use the new nebulizer my aunt sent her. I got her a pulse ox. This is when, if you get to this number, if you want to live, you need to call 911. And all the time looking at her, and her feet are modeling. So it's a sad situation. But I know that I come back, spend maybe an hour and a half with her, come back, and it's knocked me out. So my ALS is progressing a little bit. It's the fatigue. So trying to keep the calories up, and, in the midst of grieving, anticipatory grieving is what it's called. But, going through this process, and, I'm realizing some of the boundaries of the disease now. I just don't have the energy to do things. So it's, give it some rest. Maybe there's a reason why I need to rest some. Doesn't help with getting the Christmas tree up, does it? No. But I don't know. I just had my second power chair assessment and meeting with a very interesting, in the land of COVID. With everything going on, I didn't want to go to the other side of town. And I say town, it's a huge metropolitan city. But I had an in-home wheelchair assessment. If I'm technically able, I'll put a little clip of that in there. It's interesting. I had occupational therapist and physical therapist talking, assessing me and moving, doing the different movements via video, and the APT person that orders the wheelchairs or power chairs, and discussing all the different points. Apparently, I have changed measurements. I'm shrinking. Muscles, it's kind of interesting with the thing talking about the, edema. Edema is swelling. So I have noticed swelling in my ankles and my feet, but with measurements, I'm probably swelling in my lower extremities more. It's interesting. I guess the muscles get weak and you start to swell. So that is that. I'm, hopefully I get a power chair in 3 months. I'm still able to walk, though I can't stand as long, and, I'm having some issues, but, I don't think great grief helps with that, I've thought about talking about hospice and death and dying. It's not a cheery subject, but it's one I think every human being is going to go through this. We are not immortal. So what I'm going to do for myself when I get to that point. Right now, I'm still living. I'll still seek treatments, hoping that something becomes positive, there will be a medicine that'll help stop the progression. I still have that hope. But reality, I have my advance directives. I have my medical power of attorney, my durable power of attorney, my will. In this state, my lawyer, I think, didn't put on into the mental health power of attorney. So if I, with being a C9 patient, if I go crazy with brain changes, I would like them to actually drug me and make sure I'm in a place that's good to be cared for, right? That's that. But when I get to the point when I'm not eating as much, when I don't have the appetite, more so than I do now, I still struggle with my appetite. I have to remember to eat, not versus being hungry to eat. But as the breathing changes and I have more changes, I will actually get hospice, in-home hospice. That does have one thing, if you're looking for hospices, you want to have a hospice that has the ability to have an inpatient unit. You know, non-for-profit hospices, if you have Medicare in the United States, Medicare pays for 100% of the care. They don't pay for life-saving measures. They generally won't pay for insulin and things like that. But comfort medications, they will pay for. They don't pay for antibiotics. Well, they will. I'm sorry. I was meant to say vitamins, but they will pay for antibiotics related to a hospice diagnosis, though non-IV antibiotics. So it's a whole process. They'll provide hospital beds while you are within the bounds of criteria for being admitted to hospice. Bedside commodes, oxygen, shower chairs. They wouldn't provide a power chair, but they will do wheelchairs, walkers, that kind of thing. But they'll have home health aides, nurses, a physician, a social worker, and a chaplain. And you can choose some of the services. So if you don't feel comfortable with a chaplain, you can say no, thank you. Social worker will help your family and you with any emotional things going through the dying process. Also will help your family figure out, your final plans with funeral homes. And, we'll talk to them. And, they can find assistance for families in that as well. So, nursing, it's dependent upon how your condition is. By Medicare rules, they have to see, a registered nurse has to see a patient every 2 weeks, so every 14 days. Though if you're in the active dying process, those visits may be daily. So it's a team that comes around you. That's what I was trying to get my mom, and my mom wants it, but my stepfather isn't ready to let her go. So it's like, well, if you're going to stay around, you can't do half care. You're going to have to do things with the pulmonologist. You're going to have to get oxygen. You were told, it's a really difficult situation. So I'm sorry for dumping that on you guys. But for myself, I have made sure that my family is not going to have to deal with these type of issues. And I think that when you get a diagnosis that's terminal, it's very important to face it, and it's hard. I mean, you have to look at your own death. I mean, those of us that are PALS are dealing with a terminal disease. I mean, there's still life. It's still about life to be truth. But when you are first diagnosed, when you are early in the disease, make sure your wishes are known. Make sure they're written. Make sure you have your legal things done. Prevent the suffering of your family by that. So that's my PSA today about that. So trying to get the house in order. Probably get a house cleaner in because I just can't right now do all that. I can do small things each day until I get too tired, but right now that's not something on my list of things to do. I'm going to do. So just getting all the little things ready for Christmas. We're having the family friend come on Friday. So, it's going to be, a hard time, but try to find the beauty in it. And at least I've gotten this time with my mom, at least that she's been given the amount that she's loved. So that's that. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting getting a power wheelchair assessment at home. I'm glad that my first one, Medicare is just kicking back. I guess the way they had loaded on, they were like, no, she doesn't need it yet. And they moved it around and it was going to be approved, but they had a time amount that left, and my measurements did change. So I'm glad they did that. I mean, at least I'll get one that's perfect for me. But I would definitely recommend not just doing it at home unless they can bring you the power chairs, because they had recommended with the tight corners with the mid-range power chair, which with that device that it was too sensitive. Nah, I mean, went like duck to water with the front wheel, the F3, so just a little bit rougher. I mean, I still, even though I do have this terminal disease and I am very blessed to be a slow progressor, I still want to be out there. I still want to be able to go to if my daughter does games, my nieces and nephews are in games, or if there's an art festival, I still want to be present. I still want to go. I don't want to be trapped in. And I know this disease is something that does trap you into yourself. I'm trying to stay and be present as much as I can. So thank goodness I had this time and I have this health, and thank goodness that in some ways, if you look at it, my mother's not going to have to deal with my death. That's a blessing for that way. I don't know, just hard times. I'm hoping that there's some beauty that comes out of this, and that Christmas, it's going to be a sad Christmas, but, we remember the beauty in it and the joy, So here's hoping you guys are staying healthy. Sorry for a sad one, but it's life, right? Well, take care and make sure you wash your hands and wear masks. COVID's out there, baby, it's COVID outside. You guys take care, okay? I hope my next update is a happy one.